Hey everybody, I'm Jeff Peterson, and this is Fueling the Tank. And today, thank you, round of applause. Today, I have an old friend of mine, college buddy, with me. His name is Dwight Larkin, and you know, as far as what he's up to nowadays, he's kind of a financial guy. So whenever I have like money questions, like I'll like shoot him a text and like, hey, what should I do? You know, is this stupid? Is this smart? Like, you know, I want to be a millionaire, a billionaire. I want to be a billionaire. How do I go about it? But who cares about like that part of things? I mean, that's like all of a sudden you're already that, and you're already kind of in that career. But really what I want to do is find out like a little bit more about who you are, how you think. Because I knew you back when we were just, you know, honestly,
kids.
yeah, drinking in college. So I want to find out a little bit more about you personally, because, you know, some questions that I've never even like taken the time to ask. And the funny thing is, I think there's so many times that we don't ask even our best friends, like where they were in grade school, high school, where their heads were at, how they got to where they are. Sure. We just kind of take the moments in time that we meet somebody and then develop a friendship or a routine around that. And, I sit here and I think to myself how much I've changed through the years, and how that some of that stuff doesn't even get kind of brought up to a circle of friends or family, and we keep so much close to our chest. So I want to just get to know you a little bit better. So welcome to the podcast, right? Yeah, it's like you're like, okay, wait,
that's
is this
weird?
Yeah, is this a psychotherapy session? What exactly did you get me into, Peterson? So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're holding a guitar, number one.
Yeah.
And
found a new friend.
Yeah, what's funny is I walk into the podcast, and obviously we're here at the podcast studio at Interstate Music, and while he was waiting for me to show up in the room, he got bored and he decided to go grab a guitar.
And I tuned it for you.
That's wonderful. I can only imagine how out of tune it probably was just sitting out there. And it's funny because part of what I didn't know about you, certainly back when we knew each other in college, is I had no idea that you had anything to do with music or band or anything.
Because I didn't.
Now, did you do anything in high school around music?
Sure. So
you already lied to me.
No. That was
great way to start a podcast, Dwight.
All right. So no, I started as a musician in 4th grade. So I wanted to be a drummer, and I said to my dad, "Hey, band is starting. Can I be a drummer?" He said, "Drums is not an instrument. No way."
Yeah, because he didn't want to listen to it.
Exactly.
He didn't have a whole bunch of shit laying all over the place.
Exactly. He wasn't having that.
Yeah.
So then I said, well, I've always liked the trumpet. Can I get a trumpet? He goes, look, your older brother had the saxophone and he quit it. If you want to be in band, here's your instrument. And I was like, well, I don't want to play the saxophone, but I ended up loving it. I played all the way through high school, went to Denmark and Sweden to play. We literally played in front of the Queen of Denmark.
All right. So I had no idea you played saxophone.
Yes. E flat alto, B flat tenor, and jazz.
Right.
And you?
Okay, funny thing is, I was also a saxophone player.
Dude.
4th grade, I had my choice of picking instruments. Never, ever thought about being a drummer in any way, shape, or form. Because when I looked at it as left hand, right hand, doing different things.
Yes.
And I'm like, I could do this, but try to like do like fast here and slow there.
Yeah.
That wasn't even possible. So I'm like, I'm never going to be able to figure that out. And 4th grade, I made the decision. I didn't have that skill set. So then I looked at all the other options and I saw the saxophone and I'm like, that looks so cool.
Yeah, it was. It is.
So
yeah,
that's how I made my determination that I was going to do it. Because, back then, parents are just like, oh, you should pick up an instrument, because everybody's probably thinking, oh, it's really good for learning, and it works that part of your brain and all this other artistic chatter. So I grabbed the saxophone and I start going to music lessons, and I'm staring at like trying to learn how to read music.
Sure.
No, dude. Like that was like hieroglyphics, and it stayed hieroglyphics for me. So I would like literally fake like I was playing in the band, lesson part with the other kids. And I just faked it because I couldn't read anything. And I got through like a few weeks, 4 weeks of it. And then all of a sudden I had started breaking into like private sessions and I'm like, I'm out. Peterson is out. I have no clue what's going on. So I started and quit saxophone within weeks because A, it was heavy to lug around.
Yeah, it was pretty heavy.
And then B, it was just, I could not get myself to care about what music looked like to read.
Yeah. Well, you and Stevie Ray Vaughan, I mean, he never learned to read music.
But then I also didn't go to a guitar and decide to be a fantastic blues, vocalist. And
the best.
Yeah, the best. Yeah. Seriously. Yeah. So what would you say that experience gave you? Because you didn't just kind of play sax. You obviously took it to a high level.
I went all in on it. I took it really seriously. I loved it and developed a friend group, a community in the band.
Sure.
We were all band nerds. Well, you were a quarterback on the
I was a football
team,
nerd.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at any group that you put so much effort and time into is a nerd, type of a thing. Is society should just look at every group as a nerd because the word nerd to me always means really deep into something, really good
right.
and deep into something and really caring about it. And I'm a nerd that way. So I've always kind of looked at, the band, and I've always looked at musicians, period, as like something I wish I could have been.
Yes.
But I'm like, but
now you own a music company, so
yeah, right, right. It makes no sense, and I still don't think I'd ever be able to read music.
I'll challenge you on that one. I think you could.
I'll take that challenge. Yeah. Maybe I'll try.
You should.
I should try. I've got all this extra time.
But what music did for me, and I was thinking a lot about this on the way over, is that it taught me to be a good listener. So great musicians. So over the years, I've met a lot of musicians who are awesome at their craft, but they're not good listeners. So they would always be the person who could pick up the guitar and just like impress the you-know-what out of you.
Yeah.
But if you asked them to sit in a room and listen to the drummer tick off 4 and go in, they wouldn't be able to do it because they don't have that listening gene finely honed.
Okay.
And that has been the greatest influence in my life, from being a musician to being a corporate guy to being a servant leader of people. Servants and great listeners become great leaders. You have always been a servant. You've always been a great listener, and you are a great leader.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. People who are into themselves and say, hey, just look at me, look at how awesome I am, and watch this. They don't tend to, and I did notice a strong correlation on this when I was in the corporate world. The people who were like, how can I help you? And like, we've talked together.
Yeah.
How can I help you? Maybe I can. Maybe I know somebody who can help you better, but I'm still being a resource for you, a caring resource. Yeah. It all comes from listening, and listening comes from being a musician.
When did those two dots connect for you in tying it back to music and, when did that connect for you?
That's an awesome question, Jeff. For me, it was, we were doing a diversity and inclusion. This is weird. It's a weird connection.
Yeah.
Diversity and inclusion class, and talking about unconscious bias and people who are biased against other people. And in talking with the small group, I came to the realization that, I mean, and this is not about me, this is about, I think, a lot of musicians. I don't really have that, because like when I was growing up and I went from the saxophone to literally I can play anything now except the piano.
Because of lessons or self-taught?
I was self-taught.
So saxophone was the only instrument that you actually went through the course of learning, lessons, maybe private lessons, etc. Right. But other than that, everything else was fed off of what you learned in that way.
No, completely separate. So I can read saxophone music, and I just read the music. With everything else, I've never learned, or I don't know how to read guitar music. I don't know how to read even drum tabs. I just learned them. The mandolin, the banjo. I can't play piano. I'm not that good. The piano player is only the best. He or she is the most talented person in every band. I always say that. Because they were the nerd whose mom and dad said, go to your piano.
That's exactly what happened. It's like, oh man, I had friends of mine that were, but literally when we'd go over to their house just to hang out as kids, we always asked him to get on the piano and play. So that's why kind of I when I brought up the nerd thing,
Yeah.
as much as kids, when they're doing different focused, crafts or learning or lessons in this and that,
Parent mandated
yeah, all of
activities.
that stuff, whether it's the arts or whatever, they, sometimes they just felt like, oh gosh, my friends aren't doing that. They're out there playing basketball, or they're at the park, or they're
Right.
swimming or doing
Right.
fun stuff, and I'm sitting here having to learn this. The crazy thing is, even back then, we would sit in their living room and say, hey, can you play that Journey song? And we would watch him play it and be mesmerized and impressed.
Totally.
And all at that point be like, man, I wish I could do that. And it's a big part.
And that's a great lesson too, that's the result.
Right.
The basis was all the work.
Right.
That he found the center C and did the work, and maybe some of it was parent mandated for all of us, I think, right?
Sure.
But along the way, you find your own path.
Right.
And sometimes that parent mandate is the start of it, but you find your own path and you find what you love. And I know we've talked about this before, that people in their careers, if you do what you love, you're going to be really good at it and the money will follow. Don't chase money.
Right. There's no point.
That's a third grade error.
Right. Right. And I've often thought to myself, and I've said this, upon occasion, I don't know if it's been on a podcast or a video I've done, I don't know, but I've always kind of thought to myself, if we're going to be told we have to do something for whatever reason, whether it's work related, whether it's parents saying you're learning the piano because I know better than you and you're going to appreciate this another day, or whether it's like golf lessons or whatever. If you are in a situation that you're having to put that time aside, whether you're wanting to or not wanting to, but have to, there is absolutely no logic to cutting any corners whatsoever if you're having to do it. Right. So if you're taking piano lessons because somebody's making you, what's the point of doing what I did and faking your way through? I should be a saxophone player right now. I should have taken the time, because I was sitting there anyways. I should have taken the time to ask for additional help, try to learn what I was there to do. And I think it's hard for us to be there, but I think it's important for us to say, think about all the things that we went back on and half-assed, and we spent the same amount of time as if we would have full-assed it.
But I would challenge you on that, Peterson.
Oh,
here we go. So here's why.
Okay. I love to be challenged.
I know it, and me too. And I think that's great. Yep. But we all have those things that we half-assed.
Yes.
Right? Because we didn't really love it at our core.
True.
And that allowed you to move on to something else that you did love.
True. But why do I wish I knew how to play the saxophone? So
I don't know. I've got one in the basement. I'll bring it over next time.
I've got saxophones.
I'm sure you do.
I look at him like, oh my gosh.
I say that to the guy that owns the music company.
I just sit there and I'm like, how do you even see? I mean, there's so much to it.
So I found it's a great lesson on the movement of your fingers.
Yeah.
And the aperture and you develop this big callus under your lip from the pressure over the years.
It's sexy. It sounds so sexy.
Oh God, it was awful. Anyway, I'm not going to talk anymore about that. But what it did, so like then when I learned the drums, the big thing with a drummer is your body organically wants your right foot and your right hand to do the same thing, and your left foot and your left hand. That's not how the drums works. Your four appendages have to work in separation. And there's actually something in your brain, and I did learn this from a drummer guy, that clicks, and it does. Like if I go to that drum set, I could just play it. That never goes back to, I can't figure out how to separate right and left and left. Likewise, when you play the guitar, some songs are easy because they're syncopated. So, she grew up in an Indiana town, had a good-looking mama who never was around, is easier than, I'm gonna fight 'em off. A 7-nation army couldn't hold me back. Because it's very different.
Yes.
In timing.
Yes.
But I learned that from playing the saxophone.
The timing side of it.
Yeah.
And so you're going back, and when I said, when did you connect the two dots? And you said that it was in
diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
Because I realized that being a musician, I always just listened. I didn't, unless the guy laughed like all the time, or he had really bad body odor.
Sure.
That's a non-starter. You can't be in a band with a guy like that.
Right.
Or
right,
here's some deodorant.
Right,
You're really
right.
good. Use this.
Right. Right.
Unless you have those outliers, you don't really care what someone looks like. You don't care if it's a man or a woman. You don't care what their background is.
Nothing. Right.
No. How good are you at playing that bass part? Are you the best? Are you on the bubble? Are you the worst? If it's the best, let's go. Right? All I care about is how you sound.
Right.
And that allowed me to kind of sidestep a lot of those other pieces because I grew up as a musician. I felt that way, at least in my heart. And then also I realized, wow, I've never been the best musician. I'm probably shy of the tip of the bubble even, but I am really good at listening. So I've slid into a lot of bands and a lot of different roles because listening in life, in business, right? In relationships.
Right.
Is more important than almost anything. If you listen,
and people are going to want you around if they feel as though they have your ear and you care about what they're saying, what they're doing, what they're playing, what their purpose is, all of it.
Right.
If they people just generally want to be around somebody that's more that way than just telling them, you screwed that up, fix that, that type of a thing. So it makes sense. The other thing that kind of, you were just talking about timing.
Yeah.
The timing of not just a song, not just a lyric, not just a beat or a strum of a guitar, just timing period in life it starts to kind of fit. When did you start to feel the timing of you being a musician wasn't exactly what you were going to do forever and you were going to put it in its place?
Yeah.
Of where it fit into your life and so that you could still love it, still be passionate about it, but still understand these other things. The timing was now for that.
Yeah, that's a great question. The guy who was the band instructor at Carroll wanted me to play saxophone, but I'd started in 4th grade and I was all in on it, like I said. Yeah. And I didn't want to do it anymore.
Right.
I left it at home. I didn't even bring it up.
Yeah.
And that was before I learned to play all this other stuff.
Right.
And I learned it. So I wanted to be a drummer.
Yeah.
In 4th grade.
Yeah.
So when I was in the fraternity, the guy whose room was next door was the drum instructor.
Okay.
So he gave me keys to the drum room. So between classes, I'd go down there and work on YYZ by Rush or whatever.
Sure.
I didn't start with that.
No. You started.
Right. Exactly. Oh, I dropped it.
Right. Yep.
Again. And then Gordon Gano from the Violent Femmes, I don't know if you remember this, he was dating a girl who had lived in Swarthout Hall.
Yes.
Yes. He and his bandmate came to Carroll one weekend, and they were playing and singing. And so they were already national, international stars. Mm-hmm. But there were like 200 people who jammed into the little common area at Swarthout to listen to him. And I'm walking back to 4th Floor Steel where we were.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how could I get 200 people to come listen to me play YYZ on the drums? What's the probability of that? 0.0.
Right. Not I.
No. So I walked down the street to this place called Mike's Music, and I paid $80 for an old Maiden Korean Fender acoustic.
Yeah.
That I still have. That's awesome.
That is awesome. So what were you when you were in college? To be honest, I have no idea what you went to school for. I don't think I ever asked anybody what the hell they were there for, other than, hey, what are we doing tonight?
Right.
That's type normal. Of a thing.
I think that's normal.
It is normal.
It's a point in time.
So which is kind of cool to, I get a chance in podcasts like this to try to almost go back to old friends and get to know them better. I mean, so that's part of what this is. But what were you thinking you wanted to do? What was like intriguing educationally?
Yes. So I was a theater and art double major when I started.
Okay, so does that come from being in the band, loving the arts?
I was heavily involved in theater
as well.
So
Okay.
I sang in church choir. I was really, our family's very musical and theatrical.
But you also ran cross country, right?
Yeah.
And you did that at Carroll.
I did. Just track.
Track. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's always been, I've always considered it a gift to be able to do it. And now when we go to Green Lake, I always bring the guitar because after a couple of drinks, my buddy's like, all right.
Just I used to say to my buddy, hey, play that Journey song.
Right. I got a playlist.
Yeah.
All right. And I
know all the words to this song. Play this.
Right.
Because I want to sing.
It's live karaoke. I call it live karaoke, and everybody has a great time.
Yep. And so as you kind of developed through college with that for your major minor,
I switched.
When?
So after freshman year, I went to work. I think I saw you there. I was at Northbrook Mall.
Okay.
I was at the Gap, I think it was.
Okay.
And my boss was a Carroll University grad who was an art double theater.
At Northbrook Court?
At Northbrook Court.
No kidding.
No kidding. So I said to my dad, I'm like, man, I don't want to manage a Gap when I'm done with school. He goes, well, you're heading in the right direction.
Heading in the right direction to manage a gap. Right.
And I said, well, what should I do? He said, well, you should switch your major to business. And I said, well, what about marketing? I like ads and I can draw them and it'd be great. And he goes, no, marketing budgets is the first thing to get cut in bad times.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Learn investments, learn numbers, learn the business from a numbers perspective.
I mean, really solid advice.
Solid advice. And I took it. So I did what he said. He was helping me pay for school. So there was that sort of an influencer piece.
Yeah. Leverage. Let's call it leverage.
That was a lot of leverage.
Not influence.
That was a lot of leverage.
Yep.
So you're absolutely correct. Leverage. And I was so excited to come back on Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
Happy Thanksgiving, yeah.
And tell him how much I hated business class. But I couldn't because I loved it. The numbers all made sense to me.
So you actually did like it.
I didn't like it. I loved it.
Yeah.
The numbers all made sense. I took summer school every year to catch up because I was a sophomore going into 101 classes.
Yep.
I took investments the summer after sophomore year. I stayed at Carroll and took investments at summer school. That was the greatest summer ever. I learned to read the Wall Street Journal, like really read it. I learned what those numbers mean when you see them.
Yeah.
And not just the number itself, and not just from a supply demand standpoint or a movement of underlying price. What does it mean? What are quarterly estimates? What are quarterly earnings? All this really geeky stuff.
Right.
Nerd.
Yeah.
Geek.
Right. Yeah.
But you become a nerd and a geek when you love something.
Yes. Absolutely.
It could be anything.
I totally agree with that. So that kind of brought you into what you ended up doing as a career.
Totally.
So you graduate, you go on to start doing.
Went down to the Chicago Board of Trade. Started as a runner, making minimum wage.
I mean, that's like taking your career and your education and everything and just kind of going to battle.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a war room of sorts. Absolutely insanity.
Loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, you have to love it. Otherwise, you go home and you hear about it all the time. You go home and you can't handle the level of stress that is, because every minute is a stressful minute.
It is.
So how did you manage through loving the numbers and dealing with the pressure of the numbers and kind of battling through that? Because a lot of people just, I don't want to sit here and, tell war stories, but I mean, a lot of people turn to situations to try to have them forget about how stressful their day was.
Yes.
And it's a higher level of people that run through that and that type of environment in that world back then.
Yes.
I mean, as soon as they're done, they were hitting the bars with all their buddies.
It's usually before.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that too. And so how did you take your passion and love of what the numbers were, what they meant, but get through the pressure of it?
Yeah. Luck. It was luck. I didn't know that I'd love it.
Right.
And that's why I always tell, younger people when I'm coaching them, try different things because you don't know what you love or incrementally love even more. right? You say, hey, I think I'd love this. But if it's the only thing you've ever done, how do you really know? Right? Try different things.
Yep.
I lasted 10 years. Most people last 2.5 months.
Right.
For me, I was lucky. So I got in with a great proprietary options trading group. I like situations where I can't figure it out, which is why I still love the stock market, because you can't figure it out.
Right. Why do you like that?
I appreciate being in an environment of chaos. I do. I appreciate being in an environment where you can't figure out your job. Like if I can figure out
you have
my
to get
role,
through your job. You have to
figure it out to build the plane while it's in the air.
Yeah. Okay.
And the biggest thing being at the Board of Trade taught me was how to keep my cool when everybody else is losing theirs.
Right.
And that has helped me. I cannot tell you how many times in my life, both personally and professionally.
Well, and just because I know you personally, I know how much that's probably helped so many people around you, having you be that person for them.
Thank you.
Because you could have gone a lot of directions because you're so good with caring about people, which could have, it could have taken you down, that whole world, which I think you would have absolutely loved that too, because you've incorporated so much of your personal experience and your knowledge into caring about people's personal lives, not just their financial stability, and that they're making the right decisions and taking your advice and going with it because you've done the research and and they came to you because they don't know. So why are you not listening to me? Damn it. You understand their viewpoints and what you're presenting.
Correct. Yeah. It's all about people. It's all about being able to read people. It's all about listening.
Yep.
Being a good listener.
There's moments in time and in our lives where we simply take what we know, what our past experiences are, and we start to just care more about the people around us versus ourselves. And it just makes it more fun, more enjoyable. Yes, it definitely makes it harder, because by taking on and caring about others, that's a lot more responsibility that you're taking on yourself.
You bring the burden to you.
Yeah, you bring burden on, but you also bring a lot of that joy.
The joy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
and that's something I think for us, it has become, at least, let me ask you, for you, has that become easier over the years?
Yeah. Wow. Really good question, and I'm going to give a really honest answer.
Please.
No. It hasn't gotten easier it's very easy for me to do it, but it's gotten more because of the volume that it's
more stuff.
It's more stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what's made it harder on me personally. I'm always, I can be an asshole. I can like not be there for somebody when I'm not recognizing they need me to be there. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a perfect person by any stretch of the imagination.
Nobody is.
But I legitimately want to be, care to be, seek out options and possibilities of me to be. And I think the more my circle and network has grown because of my career, because of my responsibilities to the business, and then other people's business and representing their businesses, because when the circle grows and you still care the same way. So when you ask me, has it gotten easier? The answer right away, without me thinking about it, was no. But that's not going to stop me.
I think that's awesome. And I remember years ago when we were at the other Geneva Supply office, and most of the time that we talked about the families, and most of the people that I met, like, this is my son, or this is my uncle, or my brother, and people loved the good things you did for them, and they brought their family in, and you embraced all of them. And that's so exceptional for a business owner.
It just, gosh, I wish it wasn't exceptional. I wish it was just normal. And I think for a lot of people, it's normal in just the way they are and the way that they do things. I would not want to come to work and not love the people I work with.
But that's awesome and unusual. And I meet with a lot of business owners for a living.
Yeah.
And most business owners say, here's revenue stream A, here's revenue stream B, here's the EBITDA, here's this, here's that. We're acquiring here. And when I met you at Geneva Supply the first time, you were like, this is John.
Yeah.
And John does this, and John's awesome, and John smiled ear to ear, and then John introduced me to his nephew or whatever. I can't remember all the families.
Yeah, right.
But that's what makes you a great business owner. And I'm not trying to kiss your ass. That's the last
I know you would not do that.
Last thing I want to do.
I know you would not do that.
But it's a great way. It's a great philosophy that I can see how it could get harder over the years, and probably is for you because you still care just like you did before. But I know at our age now, there's a lot more to care about and care for.
Right. And where I think it comes down to, where do you find yourself, balancing it all? Where do you find the balance in your life? You've gone through hard times. You lost your brother.
Sure.
That you were unbelievably close to.
Yes.
Where do you find the balance in, like, hey, what about me? Because, I'm not going to lie. I can sit there, and I would say a lot of people think everything's just fine with Jeff Peterson, because part of my responsibility is making sure everybody feels everything's okay with Jeff Peterson, because you can't, I for whatever reason, I don't think I can put myself in a position to be strong for somebody else if I come in a weak position. Now, I'll share when it's personal and it gets to a point. I'll share my challenges with people, because I can't just be like, I've got everything figured out, because I don't. And I'm willing to share and be open to that. But where do you find that balance personally?
Sure. That's a great question. Well, with my brother, I decided at the funeral that going forward, I would only think of good things, that I would be living with this for all of my life.
Right,
and instead of going, woe is me.
Yep.
Just think about the good stuff. And just as I feel it's my job to be an influencer, and I don't mean an Instagram influencer, but influence others in a positive way, be a positive support channel for other people. I have to bring joy to, if my job is to bring joy to others, and part of it is I feel in my life, because you know what the greatest factor in the number of people that'll be at all of our funerals is? What's the number one factor in the attendance of a funeral?
I mean, the food after?
The weather. It's the weather.
Well, that's sad.
It's not, though. It's not.
So I have to plan this out then.
Well,
I have to die in June.
If you put the menu.
What about an
in
open
the
bar?
Email, yes.
Open bar is going to offset a thunderstorm, right?
Anyone will show up.
All right, open bar.
100 miles
Put
away.
It out there. Open bar.
But honey, it's 100 bar. It's an open bar. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's great. Is it a wedding? No, not exactly, but it's an open
celebration.
Bar. Yeah, it's a celebration.
But bringing joy and feeling joy in your own heart, despite, it's not all unicorns and roses, right?
No.
Life is really, really hard.
It's really hard. And it doesn't stop. Hard moments happen no matter what, and you can't figure it out, and you don't know what's coming. It's going to hit you differently. And sometimes you don't know what's going to hit you to make it hard. Right. It could have nothing to do with you, and it could have something to do with somebody else that's close to you that you didn't expect it to hit you a certain way. I mean, it is what it is. But I love the point about, when you said, at your brother's funeral, that you just decided to think about, the happy, the positive, that side of it.
Right.
I tell people all the time, and when somebody close to them passes away, if it's a family member, a parent, or whatever, because my dad passed away in 2012, and this is crazy that you said what you said, because it hit me immediately. That day, I immediately started to smile, because he went through cancer. So the whole process of it it's hellacious to watch somebody go through that. And I've often told people, it in a selfish way, it's like, that's the way I needed him to go because it gave me the time to talk to him about things I just felt I needed to, that I probably hadn't at that time in my life yet, express my feelings. It's so selfish to be glad that it wasn't like, oh my gosh, got hit by a car, he's gone. Just immediate.
No closure.
No closure. All that.
Goodbye.
So in a selfish way, I've looked back and I'm like, in a selfish way, that was like a blessing to me in a weird, crazy way because of all that. But awful for him. But the day of his funeral, I started to smile. I started to laugh, cry, happy, because I haven't once, from the day that he passed away to now, I have not once thought about a fight we had. I haven't thought about an argument. I haven't thought about just a difference I haven't thought about any of that. Like from that day on, and I've told people, now's when all the good memories are going to start to flow. Stuff that you didn't even remember was a great memory.
Right.
Let it be. Let it hit you. Cry, smile, laugh. Because that's what life is. It's a whole bunch of memories.
Yes.
And if we sit there and focus on the bad ones,
right,
like what's the point?
Exactly.
So
no, totally agree.
And I just realized right now I have not once gone back and thought of a shitty moment with my dad.
That's
since
awesome.
he passed.
That's a win.
A huge win. And I guess and we had a good relationship, not phenomenal, not terrible. We had our back and forths like human beings do, and parents and with kids. But yeah, wow. That just you saying that made me think all the way back to that. And you're right. And it's not easy to if some people just can't flush that out.
I agree with that. It's difficult for a lot of people, I think, but once again, when you're thinking about other people and not yourself, which you're good at, I think it makes it easier. I feel like that with me as well has made it easier because I get juiced about helping other people more than I get juiced about helping myself.
Yep.
And so I think it makes it easier for people like us, but I don't know. I have no idea. And my brother was ALS, so it was the same thing. Yesterday was always a better day than today, and it was just going to get worse every day.
Right.
And there was no way out.
Right.
So part of that was when he passed, I knew he wasn't in pain anymore.
Right. Exactly. So what's next? What's exciting? What do you care most about? I mean, I know you're a big hockey guy and your kids and coaching. And
sure.
I mean, when I see those pictures, that's the shit. I mean, I love that stuff. I had somebody that I work with, the manufacturer that we handle, was just telling me that hey, you're from Glenview. We were just at the Park Center and won the father-son free throw competition, and 2 years in a row. And he was like, it was like we were just talking about how are we going to hit, X millions of dollars in business by the end of the year, and we've got to do this, we've got to figure this out. But at the end of the conversation, that was the only thing the two of us cared about. Was that moment in time for him and his son, and the rest of it is. It's business. It's important. We'll figure it out. But it really wasn't what shined on the conversation.
Right. I'm a big Simon Sinek fan, and it's the circle of what's your why.
Yep.
And I think that's so powerful. So many people in business make the mistake, or especially when they're early in the business. Let me impress upon you how much of a genius I am.
Right.
Like throw up on you with all this stuff, and you and I, as consumers, hear the first three words, and then, like, I'll tell people, I'm like, I wish I had gotten off that elevator. I'd get off on a floor that isn't mine just to get away from that.
Right, and take the stairs 7 floors.
Right. Nobody cares about how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right.
And I mean, for my why is my wife Renee and my 3 kids. Not the dog, but he's such a pain.
Yeah, well,
he's cute though. I tell him every day, it's a good thing you're cute.
Right.
But
he tells me the same thing.
Yeah, I do. We weren't supposed to say that. We weren't saying that.
Yeah, we're saying it.
But I think as a business person, the business conversation is when you get to that person's why, whether that's a supplier, whether that's a client, when you get to connect with that person at that level, the business is ancillary.
Right.
But if you just focus on, hey, I can get you 5 basis points more, that's a transaction. Then you become a commodity.
Right.
And as the next person who goes, hey, I can make you 6, you're out.
Completely. Hate that part of it.
I know it.
If you could, and we'll kind of finish up with this, and
sure,
I don't finish up any podcast a certain way, but the direction this is going, I kind of want to, and then I want you to just kind of play us out at the end.
Oh,
so
okay.
I mean, you're just holding a fucking guitar, so I want you to do it. If you could just do anything right now for the rest of your life, now you've got bills to pay, you've got responsibilities and accountabilities. So take that into this. It's
Sure.
not just like, oh, I want to go count leaves on trees, and that's, you're a numbers guy. But like, you have to, it has to be something that you think, if you could get really good or something, you're still taking on responsibilities. So it's
Sure.
not some dream world. What is it that you would love to do and be every day for you that makes you happy and still accountable for responsibilities? Not some dream world, but like, what would you love to do?
Love to count leaves on trees. No,
I knew it.
Yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it. Not a big arbor guy, no. But I mean, right now I get to help younger advisors as they're building their financial services practice. So there's the, hey, let me learn about you. Let me help you in the way that you want to be helped, right? Yep. So in that sleeve, some people are motivated by money, some people aren't.
Right.
So how do you help people get to where they should be in their way, not my way?
Okay.
And then there's the numbers piece it's still the stock market and the bond market and all that other stuff.
So you're loving what you're doing right now?
Yes, absolutely.
Is it the side hustles, the side passions that round you out, and that's why you're doing them?
I enjoy the music thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, if that's what you mean, that's a side hustle.
Side passion.
It's a side passion. I've always loved playing hockey. I grew up playing for the Deerfield Falcons, and
shout out Deerfield Falcons. Do they still exist?
They do.
Nice.
They do.
Wow.
Yeah, I was down there for a meeting a couple months ago, and I went by Centennial, which is actually in Highland Park.
Yeah,
and they're blowing it up. So
unbelievable.
Yeah,
I love programs like that just have that longevity in communities.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, the impact, if you could sit there and kind of just show the impact of the number of kids that have been part of something. I mean, it's so powerful.
Yes.
So you're in a good place.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Lucky, fortunate, blessed. Everybody has a different word for it.
Yep.
Thumbs up.
Well, I want to thank you for being part of the Fueling Tank podcast, and
thank you, buddy.
Just getting a chance to know you better, getting a chance to share your journey, share your story, share your points, because I think so many of us, benefit from hearing other people's views on things. And that's what I'm hoping people are getting from the variety of people that I bring onto the show and everything else. So do me a favor, strum your favorite tune, and I'm going to kind of just close it out here. I've never had closeout music, so what are you going to, don't play anything you play at my funeral. That will be in June, open bar, by the way.
I'll be there.
All right. I want to thank everybody for listening to this. Can you hype it up a little bit? Jesus. Yeah, bring some. Yeah. All right. I want to thank everybody for listening here to the Fueling the Tank podcast. My guest today was Dwight Larkin, guitarist extraordinaire. Ladies and gentlemen, this was Fueling the Tank. That's Dwight, and Peterson is out.